prompt from Zoom saying that do you want? Okay.
Welcome to Leader Lifestyle Hub. As we have set the target of completing 200 book summaries in the entire year, here comes the book number 105. Name of the book that we have today is Antifragile, written by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. This book is all about how systems thrive from shocks. How some systems thrive from shocks, volatility, and uncertainty instead of breaking from them, and how you can adapt more anti-fragile traits yourself to thrive in an uncertain and chaotic world. Let us see what is fragile means. You know what is fragile? Easily broken.
Yeah, delicate, which is easy to break.
Yes. And anti-fragile means like it is very strong to break. Okay. Let us see the quotation from the author. The three most harmful addictions are heroin, carbohydrates, and a monthly salary. So, three most harmful addictions are these three. One is heroin, carbohydrates, and a monthly salary, said by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Most self-help books, when you break them down into their core message, speak to the common sense. So, if you have read the book Start With Why, written by Simon Sinek, you will at first be surprised, but once you get the core idea, you will say, of course, in retrospect, it makes perfect sense. Anti-fragile isn't like that. It's unlike anything you have ever heard before. The idea alone is so hard to wrap your head around that it really takes a while to sink in. The author, let us see the author, Nicholas Taleb. Who is this guy? So he's a Lebanese American essayist, mathematical statistician, farmer option trader, risk analyst, and a aphorist whose work concerns problems of randomness, probability, and uncertainty. So he's a mathematician, statistician, what we call statistician, okay, who talks about probability and uncertainty. So the author is a statistician and investigates the problems of randomness and uncertainty. He argues that some systems thrive when exposed to shocks and crises instead of breaking under the pressure. Means few products will shine when it put in the pressure, whereas few products will break down when it is put under the pressure. Here are the three lessons that will show you what it means to be anti-fragile. Fragile items break under stress. Anti-fragile items get better from it. Means when stress has been given, anti-fragile items will get better. In order for a system to be anti-fragile, most of its parts must be fragile. Anti-fragile systems work because they build extra capacity when put under stress. So, ready to stop cringing at uncertainty? Let's do this. Lesson number one. Fragile items break under stress. Anti-fragile items get better from it. We all know the label on boxes with glass inside them that reads fragile handle with care. Some like when I received my laptop also, it was written like fragile handle with care. We have all seen more than one scene in a movie where someone throws a package like that, resulting in a glass shattering noise. You know that fragile things break when you shock them and toss them around. Volatility does them no good. But when you think about it, there isn't really a word that describes things which are the opposite. Is there? We might talk about something being robust or durable, but that really just means it can resist shocks and stress better than fragile items, but it doesn't benefit from them. You still label the boxes, you ship robust things in the handle with cover in the box, not with please handle roughly. You can't keep the boxes and make it like please handle roughly. Nassim Taleb took care of this dilemma by giving us a word for what we are looking for. So this is called anti-fragile. It describes things that benefit from shock and thrive in volatile environments because as they are stressed and put under pressure, they get better instead of getting worse. So fragile items break under stress, whereas anti-fragile items get better from it. So can you think of an example? Tough, right? Here is one. When Hercules fights with the Hydra, every time he slices off one of her heads, two grow back. So there is an example of Hercules. Let us see what is this. There is a video is there. You can just go through that right now. It is not available. Wonderful. When Hercules Hydra. Let us see. Once the Hydra emerged, Hercules seized it. When Hercules fights with the Hydra, Hydra is the competitor. Every time he slices off one of her heads, two grow back. So at the time Hercules was fighting with his competitor Hydra, every time he slices off one of her heads, two grow back. Means I remember one example, but I'm not able to share right now. If you remove one thing, it will grow multiple things. Like that, you can consider as an anti-fragile. So for every time the beast is hurt, they actually gets stronger. That's an example of being anti-fragile. Okay, we'll see this again after our entire summary. Let us see the lesson number 2. An anti-fragile system usually consists of many fragile parts. There are quite a few more good examples of anti-fragile systems, one being the evolutionary process. Evolution itself is incredibly anti-fragile. We have evolved from our ancestors based on the genetic features and the traits, characters, whatever we inherit from our ancestors, which helped us survive the most and succeed. However, that also meant many humans before us had to die. Any individual specimen of a species is usually a fragile. Every human being or any any animal can die and quite easily so. But because the system can use life and death as indicators of success and failure, the evolution of species in itself is anti-fragile. Let me repeat this statement. I want to understand this more clearly. The system that you can use life and death as indicators of success and failure, the evolution of species from one specimen to another specimen in itself is antifragile. Let us take another example. Our hands weren't always built to handle tools so well. Through evolution, it became apparent that the more advanced our hands got, the longer we could survive. So eventually our genetic code morphed to include the incredibly refined hands we all have today. So initially we don't have this type of hands. We used to have fragile hands. Now we are having anti-fragile, means you can make it convenient to you. So for an anti-fragile system to work, its individual parts must be fragile because the success and failure of these parts serves as important feedback for the system as a whole and allows it to get better in chaotic circumstances. Let me repeat the lesson number 2. An anti-fragile system usually consists of many fragile parts. Let us move on to the lesson number 3. Anti-fragile systems work because they build extra capacity when put under stress. But how exactly does this happen? When you put some stress, means if I put you on stress or pressure, will you work more or will you get demotivated? Why does anti-fragility work? Actually, you do experience it quite often. If you exercise regularly, means if you go for gym or if you go for exercise, if you do for yoga or whatever practice you do, if you put more pressure and stress, you will work more. That's how anti-fragility works. When you go to the gym and lift really the heavy weights, and when you feel the burn, you push more and more weights on and do just one more rep. That's when the growth happens. The fragile parts, which is nothing but the tissues in your muscles, is broken down and the failure is reported to the system. In order to ensure future success, your body now overcompensates for this shock by building extra capacity to handle even bigger shocks better. Overnight, as you sleep and recover, your muscles are rebuilt and they are now a bit stronger than before. Usually, the human body is incredibly efficient and does not want any excess capacity lying around. But in the case of being anti-fragile, your body builds redundancy in order to prepare for future extreme situations and emergencies. That's how stress can prepare your body for even bigger stress, and it's building this extra capacity that lies at the core of why being anti-fragile is so helpful to thrive in the critical situations. This is all about 3 lessons from the book that we can take from this anti-fragile, which helps you personal finance, productivity, psychology, and self-improvement. Let me repeat the 3 lessons again. Fragile items break under stress. If some stress has been given to that, fragile items break there. Whereas anti-fragile items get from the stress, get better from the stress. The second lesson that we need to learn is, in order to make a system to be anti-fragile, or in order to yourself make a anti-fragile system, most of your parts must be fragile. And the third powerful lesson is, anti-fragile systems work by because they build extra capacity when they put under the stress. We have seen the example of gym here. So let us come to the lesson number 1 again. We said like some to be discussed, right? Yeah. When Hercules fights the Hydra, I think so. Hercules means it's an Hercules is a character. It's not the bicycle. Okay. Hercules meets the Hydra. Oh, I got it. I related to one example now. Do you know the Ravanasura, right? Ravanasura or Dashavatar. I related to that. Even every time he slices one of his heads, it will grow back again. Or
Rakta Beach.
Gartha Beach, whatever it is. So I related to that connection again. And there was a time in the past time where Shukracharya used to put powers, magical powers to the um, demigods, whatever we call like asuras. For them, if he give the water, he pour the water, the blood from wherever the blood fallen, the all the asuras will be doubled like that. So when you cut off one head, it will grow back again and again. So it's like that. So I have related to that example as well. So,
Isasur.
yeah, pieces. Great. Thank you so much. And I feel you need to create your own system as an anti-fragile. Why? Because it will sustain in any situations, and it will, instead of breaking your system, it will make you strong in future. So somehow I connected with this. I will discuss that later again. Why? Because I am working on the stock right now. One of things I'm working on the crypto. So that is the reason I have selected this book. Actually, I prepared for another one, but I have chosen this one for making myself into the stronger person. Fine, I'll see you in another book summary on Monday. Until then, stay connected, keep progressing. If you have any query,